Okay, so it seems that we're live again. All right, guys. That's good to see you. All right, good. So we have Tonina. You're back again, right? So yeah, I think you were there last night. That's cool. Kyle was there last night. How about Janelle? Janelle, did you follow the webinar last night, or is this the first time? And then Chantal, I think Chantal, you were here last night as well, right? So it's super cool, guys. Um, to be honest with you, I suck at my preparations today. I've been freaking busy and didn't prepare anything for tonight. Fortunately, I do have some notes from the past, so we're gonna be good. We're gonna have this covered. I'm very happy that you're here. It's just a few of us. It's not getting as much traction, for example, as a topic like the narcissist. I mean, boy, that really attracts people. So I hope you enjoyed the data you got last night. Tonight we're gonna continue a little bit on what is the mind, how does it work, and I hope you're gonna get something good again. All right. Just as a side note, people might be watching tonight from YouTube as well, because we're also there, and maybe even Instagram or Facebook. Not sure. Dita, are we there? Yes. So we're also on Facebook and Instagram, and of course you guys here on Zoom. So on Zoom, just Chantal, Janelle, Kyle, Tanina. Guys, what brought you here tonight? Just out of curiosity, what brought you here tonight? Why did you come tonight? Just out of curiosity. Maybe you want to put something in the chat. I think Tanina, I think you may have received my email in the meantime. Chantal as well. Just based on last night's feedback. I'm just taking it a bit slow because we just send reminders out to people, and so people might still trickle in. Just had a bit of a late startup today. Okay, guys. So please do use the chat. Last night it was a lot of fun because we had a lot of interaction. So it was absolutely great. But then last night we had a load of people, and everybody, was using the chat and just typing away. Right now we've got a few people, so I'm actually appealing to you. Please use the chat, because we're gonna do the same thing again, just like last night. A little bit of interaction, like, are you tracking? Does this sound familiar? Did you run into this? These type of questions. Good. Now, hang on, Dita. There we go. Okay. So Chantal, you spoke about it last night, and it sounded interesting. All right. Also, your quirkiness. All right. Quirky. I like that. I like that. Cool. Very happy with that, Chantal. Yeah, all right. So there we have it. We get the feedback going. Absolutely great. Tanina said, enjoyed last night. Always open to learn things to empower myself. Yes, that's the spirit. I like this. I like this. That's the spirit. Empower yourself. Have you ever heard? Let's kick off with this one. Have you ever heard that we only use 10% of our potential? Have you ever heard something like that? Yes or no? Have you ever heard that we only use like 10% of our potential? Does that seem real? Let's do a yes or no question. Okay, Janelle says, curiosity in this topic. Let me hear. Very good, Janelle. Awesome. All right, so Tanina says yes. Kyle said yes. Good. Here we go again. We got this whole thing started. It's like a bingo. Bingo! I love it. Good. So, if you only use 10% of your potential, then you probably say, okay, then I'm not using 90% of my potential. Am I right? From a scientific point of view, you wouldn't be using 90% of your potential. So what if that 90% is actually not working for you, but is actually working against you? So we touched upon that last night, and we're going to elaborate a little bit on this. Now, the whole idea with the Mind Explained is that there's a series. This Mind Explained webinar is a series consisting of different topics which are related to how the mind works, and portraying different phenomena. Tonight we're just going to do a generic one because this is something that we have recently started. It's fresh off the press, so to speak. So we're going to do a very, very generic one. And you'll find out what that means, that word generic, or that, that whole briefing, what that means tonight. So first of all, do you think that anybody really knows what the mind is? Do you think anybody really understands what the mind is, how it works, what it is that holds you back, and how you actually can fix the mind to get it into the desired condition? Do you think that anybody knows how the mind works, what it is that limits your potential, can find it, can find the root cause of it, and can also fix it? So Kyle says, yes. I'm very curious about the rest of you. What do you think? Is there anybody out there who really knows what the mind is and how it works and how you can actually fix it? Because if you would bring your car to a garage, then I'm pretty sure that you can ask a mechanic, do you know how a car works, how the different mechanisms work, how an engine works? Can you trace where the failure is coming from, and can you fix it? And you're going to get yeses. Now, and you can do this trick with any psychologist, any psychiatrist, and ask that person the question, do you know what is the mind? How does it work? And do you know how to fix it? You're going to get no for an answer. So just like last night, we're going to do a little drill here. Last night we did that little drill about primary school, right? Tonight we're going to do something different. What I would like you to do is imagine that you're sitting in your favorite chair in the living room in the house where you grew up. It's a bit of a mouthful, it's a bit of a long concept, but just imagine again, you're in the house where you grew up, in that particular living room. Now you can take any age, doesn't really matter. Just try to get any of these houses. If you've moved around, just pick any house where you grew up, and then imagine that you're sitting again in your favorite chair in the living room. All right, so I kind of like assume that you have that right now. Now what I want you to do, here's a fun thing. What I want you to do, from where you're sitting, I want you to find a table, any table in the room, and just point at it. Use your index finger and say, well, I have a TV or I have a table just right here in front of me. That's what I would like you to do. So from where you're sitting, find a table in the room. Where would it be? And point at it. So if you have that, and now let's have a look at that table and see what are the dimensions of that table. How high is it? What is the shape of that table? What is the color? Now, what kind of surface has it? Is it rough? Is it smooth? Just try to get a bit of a picture of that table. So if you have that, let's move on and find another object in the room. Now the next thing I want you to do is find a, find a window. Find a window. So what I want you to do, from where you're sitting, just point to the window. Might be in front of you, might be at your side, perhaps back, no clue. Just point it out. All right? Now last thing, just as an object, find a lamp. Find any lamp in that room and point it out. Maybe you had a chandelier hanging on the ceiling, maybe something standing, or maybe something on the table. Find a lamp somewhere in the room and just locate it, point at it. All right, now, question. Who was able to do this? Who was able to do this? Chantal, Janelle, Kyle, Tanina. Tanina says, okay, good, me. Brilliant. All right, anybody else? Janelle said, me. Good. Amazing, guys. Good. Now let me get my markers. As you can see, I just walked in, kind of like totally unprepared. I like this kind of stuff. So now let's do that. Let's do that picture again that we did last night. Yeah. So there's your body. There's your mind. Okay, so your mind makes pictures. There's a couple of words for that. You could say it's a mental image. What is so special about it? That these images, they're actually three-dimensional. So interesting point is, you can think of the living room again, and you can kind of like imagine that living room around you. You can see the objects about you, right? That's an interesting thing. This has not been observed before, to be honest. To be honest, the assumption was that the mind is in the brain. You probably heard this. That theory sprang up, I don't know, 100 years ago, a little bit earlier perhaps. That was in Vienna, in Austria, where you had Jung and where you had Freud and some other guys. And they theorized that all the thinking was done by the brain. So that your memories, therefore, must be in the brain. There were no physicians, there were no, let's see, people there who knew anything about mathematics or who knew anything about physics. So they just assumed it and said, well, it must be true. That's the only place where it could be. But here's a fun fact. If you would imagine again that you're sitting in the living room and you can close your eyes, but you would never say, well, let me see, the table is right here behind my skull. And the lamp is somewhere here on the inside of my skull. And the window is just over there next to my temple. You wouldn't do that. So there's something else going on here. Apparently, that mind that you have, that picture that you have, doesn't happen to be inside your skull. And I apologize, guys. Something happened to my throat last night. So, we're going to go into that. These pictures, they are called mental images for a very good reason. So, you cannot touch them. They have no mass. They got no weight, right? This is something that is not tangible. Not tangible. However, you can perceive it. You can imagine that the table is right there in front of you. And you can actually see that table. Now here's a fun fact. If you keep seeing the table, and or you keep seeing a person instead, and you're going to go and see a psychiatrist and say, well, I keep seeing that individual. The psychiatrist is going to tell you, oh, you must be mad, because there's clearly not a person there. But in your mind, you can do that. You see? So, that's a mental image. Now, there's a bit more of a precise word for it. And that word is called facsimile. Facsimile. Now, maybe you're familiar with the old machines called fax machines. And a fax machine makes a duplicate. It makes a duplicate, which is to say 100% copy. And that's actually what your mind does. Your mind constantly makes copies of the objects in space. In other words, it makes copies of the physical universe. It makes copies of the living room. It makes copies of cars. It makes copies of streets. It makes copies of wherever you go. These are representations, very, very accurate representations of that part of the physical universe that you are recording, that you are perceiving. So a facsimile means 100% copy. Okay, so your mind makes mental images. We call them facsimiles as well. Now, actually, a lot of things are recorded in these facsimiles. For instance, your emotion can be found back in any of these facsimiles. Now, we can refer to it as memories. That's totally fine. But if you're going to dig, you're going to find out that your mind is able to do something that you probably did not know before. And that is, you can take a certain facsimile and just inspect it again. And you can actually see what is in that facsimile. And you can actually find again your emotion. You can find again your body position. You can find again what was the temperature at that moment. There's a time label there. There's a lot of stuff in there. All right, now, the question, of course, is who or what is looking at these pictures? So that's a question that I have right now for you. You have a body, you have a mind. Now, who or what is looking at these pictures? You guys are fast. Nice. So Tonina says me. Oh, that was old. Hang on. Oh, hang on. That was thank you, Dita. That was a while ago. All right. So, okay, guys. So, what do you think? Who is looking at these pictures? Tonina, the heart, brain. Okay. Question mark. All right. Well, kind of like the answer that was given before, which said me. How about if we just say you? So let's go into that. Let's go into that. If you would talk about your body, you would say something like, I have 2 arms. So instinctively, you know that arms is something that you have. It is not something that you are. You wouldn't say, I am 2 arms, I am 2 hands. You wouldn't do that. Likewise, with your mind, you instinctively know that you have memories. You would say, I have a good recall. I have very good memories about that. Or you would say, I have some bad memories. In other words, you know that your mind is something that you have, not something that you are. Your body, you know that it's something that you have. So now, what are you? That's an interesting thing. So last night, give an example. Let me see. I don't think I have the keys here. Maybe Dita has the keys. Wow, there you go. It's a perfect example. Voila. Last night, we did the same thing. So let's say you come home. You drop your keys somewhere. You spend 2 hours in your house. You want to go out, and you're about to leave your home, and you go, gosh, where's my keys? So you're not gonna go into all the different quarters in your house and try to find your keys. You wouldn't do that. You're probably going to dig into your mind. Say, okay, hang on. What did I do when I got home? You're just going to think it over for a while, and you're going to get the picture, the memory, where you say, all right, yeah, hang on. I dropped my keys on the dresser. That's why. So basically, we could deduct from that you are an intelligence. So you are an intelligence. You use your mind in a very, very intelligent way. You go to school. You get exams. What do you do when you have an exam? Well, you're going to look into your mind again and then pick out what it is that you learned about the subject. And then maybe sometimes you have to shuffle these things around in order to find a new solution. And you do that very, very intelligently, right? Okay, now, so, all right, you're definitely intelligent, or an intelligence, but you're also aware. You're also aware. Right now, you're probably aware of the position of your body. You're probably aware of the sound in your room. You're probably aware of the amount of light. You're probably aware of the temperature. You're probably aware of, certain things happening in your body. Maybe digestion going on. Maybe you feel thirsty. Maybe you feel tired. So you're picking up all these perceptions. Now, the funny thing is that if you would put yourself in front of a mirror, you would you would know, well, that's you, or that's your body. There's something here that is different from an animal. You put an animal in front of a mirror, and he thinks it's another animal. So he's going to show some animosity. He's going to show just exactly that, because he doesn't recognize himself. That tells you that you are aware of the fact that you are aware. So we could say you are an awareness of you are an awareness of awareness unit. Simply because you are aware of the fact that you are aware. Now, next thing is that you could also be considered to be an energy. So, when you raise your arm, you're endowing your body with energy. You make that happen, right? Very simple. So, we could actually sum up all these qualities and say, well, that is you. You're definitely an intelligence. You're definitely an awareness, even aware of the fact that you are. And you definitely produce energy. Well, if you're in a very good mood, you can produce a lot of energy. And you'll find out that your body is in a fine condition. If you are in a very bad mood, you're not producing a lot of energy. Actually, you're kind of like producing a sort of like a negative energy. And you're going to feel that on your body as well. Your body's not going to be feeling very well. It might give you the feeling of feeling exhaustion and those kind of feelings. Okay, so are we tracking so far? Just a quick. I see that I'm just kind of like rattling along. Are we tracking so far? Do you get the concept that we can actually divide an individual in three parts, which is you, your body, and your mind. Let's just do the analogy. Yeah. All right. So Tanina is tracking. Yeah. Do you get the colors? Because on my screen I hardly see the colors. Yeah. I see blue. This is the circle is supposed to be red. I don't really see that on my screen. You guys see that? Okay. Cool. You can see. Good. Now, so here's where it starts to get interesting. So you have a body. Average lifespan. Average lifespan 75 years. I wouldn't say that's too interesting, because after 75 years it can go into the bin. Not really great. So you can study it. You can bring it to the gym. You can pop a lot of vitamins into it, and Red Bulls and what have you. Now, so you can make a study out of it. The next thing you can make a study out of is your mind. It's quite fascinating. How does the mind work? What is that one single thing that just holds you back? That limits your potential? That causes you stress? That's an interesting topic, right? To know more about. Probably the most fascinating thing to know more about is, well, who am I? Who are you? What am I? What is my full potential? How much better can I get? That's where it gets really interesting. Now, quick question. What do you think? Are you your body, or are you something more than your body? Please put that in the chat. Are you your body, or are you something more than your body? Okay, Tonina says yes. So, all right. Guys, my throat is terrible tonight. Thank you. That's great. Okay. So, good. So fantastic. Now, we're gonna do a whole different example right now. So, Tonina, that makes a lot of sense, right? You would be an intelligence, an awareness, an energy, a spiritual being. Now, the whole thing is that we're living in the West, which is to say the Northern Hemisphere. If you go to India and you said, I'm a spiritual being, nobody will have any doubt. Nobody will criticize that. Nobody will laugh at you. If you go to Africa, same. If you go to Latin America, same. If you say that out loud here in the Western Hemisphere, people might actually ridicule you. Yeah, it's a lack of knowledge, to be honest. Good. I'm going to paint you an interesting example to give you an idea where do these bad, unwanted sensations and emotions and so forth, where do they come from? Good. So let's take this idea. We got Joe here. So Joe's got a whole bunch of facsimiles. All right, that's Joe's mind. Somewhere in that mind, he has a recording where he was small, perhaps a kid, and he was attacked by a dog. That recording is somewhere over there in his past. Now what happened here is that that incident happened to be very, very frightening. It caused him a lot of pain. And he had a lot of fear. So now because of that, let's say the dog just ripped open his flesh there. He was heavily bleeding. He passed out. It was a horrible incident. And he had to go to the hospital with sirens, ambulance. And he woke up in the hospital again. And they were stitching him up. And there's some strange people, scary people in white suits, all kinds of equipment. He was undergoing surgery. Anyway, that's just somewhere in the back of Joe's mind. Now, in present time, Joe is going down the street. Going down the street in that direction. And all of a sudden, there's a dog there. And that dog just happens to resemble the dog in the moment of the bad experience. So, what is Joe going to do now? What is Joe going to do? Tanina says, fight or flight. Yes, exactly. Well, it kind of nails it, doesn't it? That kind of nails it. What happens? What happens really is that something is going to warn Joe that he is in danger again. What Joe is doing is he is identifying this dog with the dog here. And that is exactly where Joe makes a mistake. It's as if he takes that picture from the past and he looks through that picture at the dog again. He's identifying this moment here in present time with a moment in the past. Now, he's also identifying this dog with that dog. He's identifying this location with that location. This is absolutely irrational. And that's where the mind makes a mistake. It makes a mistake because this and this is not the same. This might be the sweetest dog on earth. It might be a very pettable dog. But yet, Joe's mind tells him that he should fight or flight. In other words, Joe is going to feel some kind of a sensation here, some kind of a force that he feels he now has to obey. Now, he doesn't think about it. He just doesn't give it any thought. He will just do whatever that force tells him to do. Okay. So, last night we talked about this whole thing, like, for example, let's say you have to do a speech or you have to do a job interview. And, well, there you go. All of a sudden you feel that two things are sabotaged. Your body. Yeah, let's say you have to do the speech. All of a sudden your legs start to feel like spaghetti. Your armpits start to smell. You start to transpire. You got a dry throat. You can't hold the paper still. Right? So your body is getting completely sabotaged. Same thing here. You might get that intense feeling of fear. The hormones, the glands, things are going to change there. And the body's being prepared for action, which is to run away or to fight. Likewise, he can no longer really think rationally because there's something there that controls him. It seems that the pain and the fear in this incident is actually directing him. All right. Does it make sense so far? You guys tracking with this example? The identification, the mind making a mistake, mistaking this dog, or mistaking that dog for this dog, mistaking this moment in time for that moment in time. It just doesn't really work, right? That is something really irrational. Okay, now you might say, well, Erik, nice. Personally, I don't have anything with dogs. I'm not afraid of dogs. I always had dogs. My parents had dogs. I'm totally happy with dogs. Not a problem at all. All right, well, good. I understand that. So let's wipe out the dog. Now let me ask you. Have you ever been in a situation where a certain location, just a certain place, made you feel uncomfortable? Like a dentist, or a hospital, or maybe an executive office. Is there any place, any location that makes you feel uncomfortable? Or is there any individual, any person, or any type of person that can make you feel uncomfortable? That is the question for you. Yeah? Okay. So Nina says yes. All right. So here's the thing. Do you want to be uncomfortable? Most likely not. Okay, so that it must be then that there's certain identifications with certain places or certain individuals that follow that same principle. So let's say you and your partner, you discuss that you need some more money, and maybe tomorrow both of you are going to go to the boss and you're going to negotiate a better job with a better pay. So you come to that conclusion, and next day you're deciding that you're actually going to see your boss. You get out of your chair and you walk over to your boss, and all of a sudden you got that butterfly feeling, that anxiety stomach, a very strong doubt You go kind of blank, and your reason is probably not a good time to go and talk to your boss. And now you might even think, oh no, he's too busy right now. And you actually return to your seat. You're just gonna cancel the whole thing. You're gonna come home, and your partner's gonna ask you, so what happened? Did you talk to your boss? And I said, no, he was too busy. Ever been in this kind of situation? You actually wanted to do something, but then something held you back. Something made you not doing it. You couldn't proceed. So what do we put here? A certain individual and we put there a certain individual. And now we get the same identification again. Meaning looking through a sort of a lens. Okay, so if you get this concept, then it is essentially just one more step that you need to understand. Because basically, when you get that identification, when you get that flight or fight kind of feeling, situation, the fear, the anxiety, the sensation that you want to run away, whatever, there's something a little bit more sinister at hand. Because what really affects you is something there that you can't see. It's shut off from your analytical powers. There's something there that produces that effect, that produces that force, that makes you obey, that actually makes you do the kind of things in two ways. You're not going to do the stuff that you really want to do. And as a result, you're going to do something else. So, for example, whenever you can really enhance your survival, make your life a lot better. Maybe you have that bright idea, like, gosh, if I would do just that, gosh, I mean, that would make my life a lot better. That would really enhance my survival. That mechanism is going to kick in. Likewise, the contrary can happen. It can actually force you to do destructive things. There's probably moments in your life where you did something that you right after regretted. You said to yourself, but that wasn't me. I don't understand, why did I do that? Have you ever been in that situation? So here's a question again. Have you ever been in that situation where you felt, where you did something and then afterwards you came to the conclusion that you had no idea what just happened? Why did you do this? It was completely counter survival. Something just took the better part of you, took over, and you did something that wasn't you. Maybe there's two ways that can happen. When that situation occurs, you might actually do something that you really regret. So for example, we got addictions, right? Like a drug addiction, or like a sex addiction, or a drinking addiction, or a gambling addiction. And then you get into that, and then you wonder, why the F am I doing this? He can't figure it out. Well, the only thing that you can see here, there is something there that forces you again and again and again to do that kind of destructive behavior to yourself. That sabotaging kind of behavior to yourself. Now, here you would do destructive actions that will basically sabotage your own life. Now, likewise, in the positive way, maybe you want to reach your goals and you want to do constructive things, and the same thing kicks in again and keeps you down, puts you in fear, gives you the feeling that you're not good enough and that you can't do it, that something is holding you back. So either way, you're kind of screwed. When you want to pursue something good, it's going to kick in. And otherwise, it's going to make you do bad things that you regret. So there's definitely something there that kind of like sabotages you. When it happens, furthermore, when it kicks in, your body will go out of balance. Your hormones, your glands start to produce too much or too little of something. And now you get obesity. And now you get ugliness. And now you get skin conditions. And now you get digestion conditions. And now you can't sleep. And you can go on and on. So more than 70% of all the illnesses that we're struggling with is actually just because of that negativity, that kind of force that is stored somewhere in your mind. That's the key thing of tonight. There is something destructive recorded in your mind that actually works against you. So now, this is the mechanism. That's how your mind works. It is actually quite simple. All right? So the final question is, of course, well, how do I get rid of it? Right? How do I get rid of that destructive part in my mind that makes me sabotage myself and my own life? I'm just a bit curious here. Do you want to know? Do you want to know what it is that actually sabotages you and your plans and keeps you from reaching your full potential? It's just Chantal and Tonina, guys. All right. Well, actually, you know what? We don't have to go into these terms, PTSD, because what you've seen tonight, this is something that any psychologist should know and should be able to explain to you. And honestly, they cannot. They can only recognize that you're doing ups and downs, and they can give you a label. So the label doesn't work. We actually need a solution. I mean, you can bring your car to the garage, and the mechanic says, well, we call it hampering. Well, all right. Can you fix it? No, we can't. But it's called hampering. All right, well, that's great. I mean, that's been tremendous help. And it's the same thing here. You can give it a label, you can give it a name. Well, we're not interested in the label. We're not interested in the name. We're interested in, can you fix it? Yeah. That is the whole idea. Good. I'm gonna do the same thing as last night, guys. I got a bit of a cold, and my voice is really letting me down tonight. That's why I'm going in a different pace as last night. Last night we actually started to come up, but I'm gonna leave it at this point now. If you have any questions, if you want to go into this, and if you want to know more, just like last night, maybe you want to have a chat. Maybe there's something that you are running into in life, and you want to find out how you can handle the situation that you're in. Or maybe you're a reader and you say, hey, Erik, is there a book on that you would recommend me? I'd be happy to give you some further recommendations. That is basically what I would like to pass on to you tonight. Is that question. Do you want to have a chat on this? Or would you like to, well, let's put it like this. I got a fantastic, really fantastic personality test that you can do online. And that personality test will show your weak points, will show your strong points, and it will show you where's the weakest link in the chain. And with that, we can pretty much pinpoint what would be the best approach for you to, for example, to start reading or to start doing in order to make improvements. So if you're interested in that, just, let me know in the chat, yes or no. Yes, I want to know more, and that's fine, and we'll be in touch. Let's do it just like that. Otherwise, Chantal and Tonina, it's absolutely great to have you here tonight. Like I said, it's a bit of a trial type of webinars. Maybe it's the hour 7 o'clock because not many people who register for that. Maybe we should actually move it to 8 o'clock on Wednesdays. But we've only also just started the whole thing. The Mind Explained. Narcissism. It's a commonly known word, and people have a lot of interest in that. Mind is not really such a hot topic, and I guess people have been lured into a lot of, let's say, false, incorrect data that they cannot really think with. And of course, if it's incorrect, you can't think with it. And so there's not a lot of interest yet. But actually, that's what we're trying to spark, to get more interest on the subject. There's definitely something there that you can know more about. And there's definitely tools. There's definitely solutions. I'm just going to give you one. I used to suck, absolutely suck at making phone calls. It would give me so much of an anxiety stomach that I would almost feel like I was going to faint. It can be very, very strong. And there's a specific thing there in the mind that makes that happen. It doesn't mean you're crazy, and it certainly doesn't mean you have PTSD. Forget about it. Just, I'm going to make a little drawing for you. That's a bin. Just throw it in the bin. Right? So there's definitely tools to handle it. And basically, I've been able to handle it, to be honest. And I enjoy to be on the phone right now. Likewise, I wouldn't do any public speaking. I absolutely enjoy it. Do I have to pat myself on the back? No. I'm simply saying there is knowledge, and you can actually obtain that knowledge yourself. You can get going with it, and you can actually see improvements. All right, good. So there we go. Thank you so much. Believe in solutions. Yes, like to know more. Definitely, please. Sorry for the minimal response. My computer kept losing connections. Oh my God, Chantal. Right. I guess your computer had some of these issues there, right? Good. So you're in recovery. I'll share you with your friends. Lovely. Let's do that, guys. Once again, sorry for my throat. We kind of like made it happen, so it's all good. I loved your input. And despite the fact there was just the three of us, Kyle actually, he left, but Kyle basically told me up front, to be honest with you, he's been here over 40 times. So it's great. Hope to see you back again next Tuesday or Wednesday, because we're going to continue with this. And I'll pop something on your WhatsApp, telephone number, or email, if that's okay. Yes? Guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye for now.